The council chamber shimmered with cold authority. High arches of obsidian glass reached into a sky that hadn't seen a natural star in millennia. Over 200 species were represented in that room. Elders, warlords, scientists, manipulators, all seated in layers around the high seat, where Councillor Draven towered in his crimson robe. On the vast central screen hung a lone image. Earth. Blue and green, fragile, distant. A primitive little world by their standards. Draven stood. His voice, magnified and sharp, cut through the air. The humans refuse tribute. They refuse disarmament. They refuse assimilation. His lip curled in disgust. They have fired upon council envoys. They continue expanding their war fleets. Their arrogance knows no end. Murmurs rose from the tiers. Disbelief. Disdain. A few nervous glances. And now they threaten our patrols near Sol. We cannot tolerate this. Draven's hand came down on the council plinth. The council votes today. Enforce submission or erase this cancer. The vote passed swiftly. No one expected otherwise. The humans were a backwater species, a statistical anomaly in galactic history. Evolved fast, bred fast, fought harder than they should. But in the eyes of the council, they were still beneath notice. Until now. The declaration was transmitted instantly. The message was blunt, imperial, dripping with centuries of practiced superiority. Earth must surrender all offensive capabilities and submit to council governance within one rotation of its sun, or face immediate extermination. A ripple of smug satisfaction passed through the chamber. Ships had already been positioned. The council armada spanned entire sectors. No one could stand against it. That was when the chamber's primary comm beacon lit up. Incoming reply. Already? Draven sneered. Typical human impetuousness? The council permitted the transmission, expecting some desperate plea or defiant rant. But the screen stayed black. Only audio came through. One voice, male, calm, controlled, no static, no background hum. The channel was perfect. Too perfect. Council of the Galaxy, the voice said. This is Earth. It wasn't panicked. It wasn't diplomatic. It wasn't afraid. We received your ultimatum. We reject it. Silence hung heavy in the chamber. Draven's hand twitched. He gestured to cut the feed. You misunderstand what you are dealing with, the voice continued, unhurried. This is not a negotiation. A flicker passed through the chamber's light grids. The power grid registered a surge, small but out of pattern. Systems engineer drones scuttled to check it. You believe us primitive. You are wrong. You believe we lack reach. You are wrong. A soft chime echoed through the control tier. One of the adjutant commanders looked down at his holo display, then turned pale. Counselor, we're receiving code fragments. They're inside the core net. What? Draven barked. Our intercom arrays. They're being overridden. By who? By Earth. On the screen, the voice spoke again. No emotion, no anger, only fact. You have declared war. You have made your choice. Now you will learn ours. Without warning, the council chamber plunged into darkness. Emergency lights flickered to life, but only for a moment before the shielding grids cascaded offline. Then the explosions began. Not from outside, from inside the station. Strategic containment fields failed. Gravity anchors inverted. Across the core worlds, command networks went dead. Entire fleets lost their synchronizers mid-orbit and collided into one another. A single second stretched into eternity as the mighty Galactic Council realized the truth. They had been breached, not in space, in data, in command, in control itself, by Earth. And as the firestorms consumed the council station, as automated defense grids misfired into their own ships, as Draven's last breath left his scorched lungs. The humans never sent another word. They had erased their enemies. In minutes. The stars outside twisted like a shattered mirror as the remains of the Council station drifted through what was once the most secure sector in the galaxy. Charred debris spiraled in slow arcs, fused metal, shattered spires, bodies half vaporized by energy feedback loops gone wild. In the shadow of this wreckage, a small human vessel hung in silent vigil. It wasn't large. No monstrous dreadnought. Just a sleek, black-hulled corvette with no visible weapons. The UNSV Revenant. On its bridge, Captain Nathan Grayson stood watching the aftermath unfold through the forward display. He didn't speak for a long time. Neither did the crew. They had all heard the Council's ultimatum. They had all witnessed the voice of Earth reply. They'd also seen what had followed. "Casualty reports?" Nathan finally asked, voice low, steady. His tactical officer, Sergeant Ruiz, checked her console. Her face was pale but controlled. "Council forces. Total losses estimated at 90% of local strength. Fleet command in full collapse. Remaining vessels scattering or falling offline." "Council leadership?" She exhaled slowly. "Gone. All of them." Nathan nodded once. It was what they had expected, what they had planned, what they had prepared for. "What's the response from the outer sectors?" he asked next. At the comm station, Corporal Jenner's fingers danced over the interface. "Intersystem chatter is panicked. Several member species are cutting council ties. Some warlords are trying to mobilize, but command relays are still dead. Others are just going dark." Nathan's jaw tensed. He glanced at the center console, where the mission clock ticked down in crimson numerals. "Phase 1. Complete," he murmured. "We move to Phase 2. The UNSV Revenant was no ordinary warship. It had been born in the shadows of Earth's true war machine, a machine the galaxy hadn't seen coming. For decades, humanity had been underestimated, treated like a curiosity, a rogue species, too aggressive, too stubborn, too unpredictable. The Council had forced embargoes, blockades, covert sabotage. They'd believed Earth's surface wars and scattered colonies were a sign of primitive disunity. But beneath that chaos, a different Earth had risen. One that watched, one that listened, one that didn't fight fair. It wasn't the vast fleets that made humanity dangerous. It was the mind behind them. The will to destroy utterly when cornered. The refusal to kneel. And, most fatally for the Council, the ability to adapt. Earth hadn't wasted resources building endless conventional fleets. Instead, they'd built weapons that couldn't be intercepted. Data weapons, ghost code, viral AIs, systems that infiltrated, learned, waited. And when the Council broadcast their ultimatum, Earth's response wasn't words. It was a key, a silent trigger embedded in the very networks that held the Council together. Years in the making, released in a single breath. Now, that breath had gutted the galaxy's ruling power. But Nathan knew it wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The Council was dead, but the species it ruled were not. Some would submit, some would run, and some would fight back, blindly, out of rage or fear. He turned to Ruiz. "Any chatter from the Kastari or Varnak enclaves?" She scanned her feeds. "Varnak fleets are mobilizing but disorganized. No leadership cohesion." "And Kastari?" "They've gone dark. High chance of fallback to secure sectors. Possibly preparing counterstrikes." Nathan's mouth tightened. The Kastari were dangerous. Old enemies, long simmering under Council authority. Without the Council's leash, they'd be unpredictable. "Plot intercept course. We need to get ahead of them." Ruiz hesitated. "Sir, there's something else." Nathan arched a brow. Go on. She brought up a secondary screen. We just received an encrypted burst from Sol Command. The message scrolled fast, heavily encoded. Nathan's eyes narrowed as he read it. His knuckles whitened on the edge of the console. They're activating black protocols? He said grimly. Ruiz nodded. Confirmed. Full spectrum. All shadow units ordered to execute contingency plans. Nathan exhaled. He understood what that meant. Earth wasn't taking chances. Not after this. The message was clear. No survivors, no resurgence. Erase the threat completely. For a moment, an image flashed in his mind. His home, a little farmstead on Europa's southern plains. His brother, his father, the world they were trying to protect. Understood, he said coldly. We proceed. Full blackout ops, from here on. The Revenant's engines flared softly as the ship turned toward deep space. They weren't the only ones moving. Across the outer sectors, other human vessels, stealth ships, hunter-killers, black ops teams, were already in motion. The galaxy's greatest power had died not in a grand battle, but in silence and shadows. And now Earth's hunters would finish the work. Back on Earth, beneath the surface of a fortress city known only as Bastion, a different kind of war room was alive with motion. General Marcus Reeve stood before a vast holographic map of the galaxy. Dozens of sectors blinked red or gray, indicating confirmed kills or system collapses. A handful blinked yellow, active threats. Council assets neutralized, an aide reported. Outer member states destabilizing rapidly, some requesting ceasefire terms. Reeve's gaze was hard. No terms, no mercy. If they stood with the Council, they fall with it. Yes, sir. Another officer approached, face grim. Sir, Kastari fleet elements confirmed moving toward Sector 14. Estimated strength, 2 dreadnoughts, multiple escort cruisers. Reeve nodded once. Deploy Reaper units, no survivors. Orders relayed, sir. He folded his arms. His mind was already 3 moves ahead. The Council's arrogance had been its undoing. But Earth could not afford arrogance now. The galaxy was a wounded beast. Dangerous, unstable. They would have to break its back completely to secure the future. His comm implant chimed. An encrypted line. He accepted. Reeve, came a voice, hard, sharp, seasoned. Director Kane, Reeve replied. We're proceeding to Black Protocol phase. Good, Kane said. I'm sending you new priority targets. There are others who may try to fill the Council's vacuum. Understood. And Reeve. Kane's tone darkened. Remember, this is not about justice. It's about survival. No hesitation. I won't. The line cut. Reeve turned back to his officers. Prepare Phase 3 and tell the strike teams, from here on out, there are no rules. In deep space, as the Revenant closed on its next target, Nathan stood alone in the observation bay, watching the stars burn cold and distant. His reflection stared back at him in the armored glass, hollow-eyed, hard-edged. He wasn't a hero. None of them were. This wasn't a war for glory. It was a war for existence. They wanted to erase us, he murmured. Now they'll see what erasure really means. Behind him, the ship's systems hummed, weapons cycling, codes deploying. The next strike would be swift, merciless, just as the Council had deserved, just as those who still threatened Earth would learn. And out there, in the darkness, far beyond what even the humans yet knew, eyes were watching. Some filled with fear, some with hatred, some already plotting revenge. But Earth was ready. The gloves were off. There was no going back. The Kastari flagship, Bloodfang, sliced through the void at speeds few human ships could match. Its captain, Vekor, paced the darkened bridge. His species were born warriors, massive, armored beings with obsidian-scaled hides, and eyes like molten gold. The Council had kept them on a tight leash for centuries, fearing what the Kastari might become unchecked. Now the leash was broken, and Vekor burned with the need for vengeance. "Signal the fleet," he growled to his comms officer. "We strike Earth's colonies first. We spill their blood and burn their worlds before they can strike again." "Yes, Warfather." The Bloodfang's fleet had gathered fast. 2 dreadnoughts, 8 cruisers, dozens of smaller warships, veteran crews, hardened soldiers. They had no interest in diplomacy, only in the old ways of conquest. But what they didn't know was that Earth was already hunting them. Aboard the UNSV Revenant, Nathan stood with Ruiz and Jenner as tactical feeds updated in real time. "Confirmed," Ruiz said grimly. "Kastari fleet entering Sector 14. Course plotted toward Alaric Station, a key colony outpost." "ETA?" Nathan asked. 6 hours if they maintain current velocity." Nathan's jaw tightened. Alaric wasn't just a station. It was home to 70,000 civilians, families, farmers, engineers, the kind of people the Council never bothered to protect. "Orders from Bastion?" he asked. Ruiz brought up the encoded message. "Engage, erase threat, no collateral, no retreat." Nathan's gaze hardened. "Plot intercept. We take them before they reach Alaric." "Aye, sir." The Revenant's engines flared as it shifted course. Silent, swift, unseen. But Vekor wasn't ignorant. His scouts had detected strange signals, ghost readings that didn't match known Council or pirate signatures. Human stealth ships. He snarled, fangs bared. "They think to ambush us," he growled. "Prepare the fleet. Shields at maximum. Weapons hot." His war brothers roared in answer, but they didn't understand. Earth's Revenant-class ships weren't meant for head-on fights. They were assassins. As the fleets closed, Nathan studied the tactical map. They were outnumbered 100-1 in raw firepower. But brute force wasn't the point. "Deploy shadow drones," he ordered. Ruiz nodded. Invisible on any normal spectrum, the Revenant's drones spread like a virus through the Kastari formation, broadcasting false signals, jamming sensors, corrupting targeting arrays. Vekor's fleet began to drift, confused. Weapons locked onto phantom targets. Shields fluctuated erratically. "What trickery is this?" Vekor bellowed. "Recalibrate sensors. Tight beam guidance only." But it was too late. Nathan gave the next order without hesitation. Engage. The first salvo didn't come from plasma cannons or railguns. It came from inside the Kastari ships. The Revenant's AI-driven viruses had infiltrated fleet command protocols. Engines misfired. Reactor safeties disabled. One cruiser spun out of formation as its engines overloaded, then detonated, a star-bright burst tearing apart nearby escorts. "One down," Ruiz reported, voice ice-cold. Nathan's eyes never left the screen. "Continue." On the Bloodfang's bridge, alarms screamed. Vekor slammed his gauntleted fist onto the console, cracking the alloy. "Purge the systems! Cut all external feeds! We fight manual if we must!" His crew obeyed, snarling in fury, but chaos already reigned. Entire squadrons were lost, firing blindly or colliding in the darkness. And then the Revenant struck physically. Precision railgun slugs slamming into key nodes, cutting through even Kastari armor. Another dreadnought reeled under the assault, its midsection blown open to hard vacuum. Bodies spilled into space, frozen in moments. Nathan's voice remained calm. "Target Bloodfang's sublight drives. Cripple her." "Aye." The next volley punched through the Bloodfang's flank. Flames erupted across the engineering decks. Vekor roared in rage. He knew then, this wasn't war, it was execution. "Helm, full retreat, signal the fleet, withdraw to rally points." But his signals didn't reach. The Revenant's jamming was absolute. One by one, His ships were isolated, hunted, and destroyed. In space, where moments stretched like lifetimes, the battle was over in under 30 minutes. Of the Kastari fleet, only shattered hulks remained. No survivors, no escape pods permitted. Nathan exhaled slowly as the debris fields cleared. "Report," he ordered. Ruiz nodded grimly. "Enemy fleet neutralized. No hostile signals detected. Alaric Station is safe." Nathan's knuckles whitened on the console edge. "Transmit confirmation to Bastion. Phase 2 complete." "Aye, sir." On Earth, deep in Bastion Command, General Reeve watched the incoming reports. "Revenant confirms Kestari fleet destroyed," an aide reported. Reeve gave a rare, thin smile. "Good. Next targets?" Varnak warlords mobilizing near the rim. Scattered resistance among former Council client worlds. "Deploy strike wings. All shadows authorized. No quarter." "Understood, sir." Reeve folded his arms. They were winning, but the fight was far from over. The galaxy was vast. Chaos would breed new threats, and Earth had no room for mercy anymore. "Continue the purge," he said coldly. "Humanity will not be threatened again." Aboard the Revenant, Nathan stood alone in the observation bay once more. The stars burned indifferent beyond the glass. "We didn't ask for this war," he muttered, "but we'll finish it." And somewhere, far in the galactic dark, new enemies were watching, waiting, plotting. But Earth had shown its teeth, and there was no going back. Nathan's boots echoed in the Revenant's steel corridors as he made his way toward the strategy room. The ship was running near silent now, blacked out between missions, deep in the void where no stray sensor sweeps would catch them. The door hissed open, revealing the small war room at the ship's heart. Ruiz and Jenner were already there, along with Lieutenant Cade from the cyber warfare team. A hollow map of the outer rim sectors hovered above the table, red markers blinking steadily across dozens of systems. "We've kicked over the Hornet's nest," Cade said bluntly, arms folded. Nathan approached, eyes scanning the data. "Details." Ruiz gestured to a cluster of signals flaring on the map. "The Varnak warlords are moving fast. Their fleets are smaller than the Kastari, but more spread out, hitting isolated colonies, raiding trade lanes. They're desperate, wild." "That makes them dangerous," Nathan said flatly. "And there's worse," Cade added. He tapped another sector. "Council remnants, scattered fleets, mercenary bands, and something new, unknown vessels, no council signatures, showing up near the old Velkar expanse." Nathan's brow furrowed. "Mercenaries I expected, but unknowns?" Cade grimaced. "Could be old black market factions stepping in. Could be someone trying to fill the power vacuum. Either way, they're armed and moving." Nathan exhaled slowly. The galaxy was unraveling fast. With the council gone, every old rival and suppressed faction was clawing for scraps, and Earth was still seen as the enemy, the one who broke the old order. "Orders from Bastion?" he asked. Ruiz pulled up the latest encrypted burst. "Full containment directive. No uncontrolled factions permitted neutralize all threats preemptively." Nathan's gaze hardened. Earth wasn't waiting for enemies to regroup. They would crush them before they could. "Prep for next strike," he ordered. "We'll hit the Varnak first, then we'll investigate the Velkar contacts." "Aye, sir." Hours later, the Revenant slipped through the rim's chaotic frontier, uncharted lanes where old council patrols once ruled, now abandoned or overrun. Here, pirate clans, rogue warlords, and mercenary ships prowled like sharks. And in this darkness, Earth's black ships hunted them in turn. Nathan stood on the bridge as the next target approached. Varnak raiders, clustered near a drifting colony station. "Targets acquired," Ruiz confirmed. 4 cruisers, 2 destroyers, civilians still present on the station. Nathan's jaw clenched. The Varnak had no code of honor. They'd butchered 3 human colonies already, leaving no survivors. Engage. Save who we can. The Revenant struck like a phantom. Ghost drones cutting comms, hacking drives, blinding targeting systems. The first Varnak cruiser spun out of control as its reactors went critical, erupting in a violent chain reaction that shredded its escorts. The station's defenders, a ragged militia, watched in stunned disbelief as the human ship tore through the Varnak with surgical precision. Nathan's voice came over an open channel. "This is Captain Grayson of the UNSV Revenant. Stand down. Civilians will be evacuated. Resistance will be terminated." Some Varnak tried to fight, charging weapons blindly, but the Revenant's railguns answered first. Hulls cracked, air vented, the raiders were erased in moments. On the station's battered command deck, a lone human militia captain, Grant Voss, eyes bloodshot from days without sleep, stared at the incoming signal. "Holy hell," he muttered. "They actually came." Seconds later, Revenant Marines breached the deck. Sleek black armor, visors cold, weapons precise. Nathan led them in person. He'd learned long ago that leadership wasn't done from behind glass. "Captain Grayson," Voss rasped, "you've got no idea how bad it was here." Nathan nodded grimly. "I do now. Get your people ready. We're pulling you out." Within the hour, the surviving colonists were evacuated, shaken, hollow-eyed but alive. The station, too damaged to hold, was rigged for demolition. Nathan stood at the airlock, watching the last civilians board. Voss approached him quietly. "You think this is the end of it?" Voss asked. "You think wiping out these bastards is enough?" Nathan's gaze was cold. "It's not about enough," he said. "It's about survival." Voss nodded slowly. "Then you'd better kill them all. Because the ones left, they'll come back worse." Nathan didn't argue. He already knew. As the Revenant returned to deep space, new intel flashed across their feeds. "Unknown ships confirmed near Velkar Expanse," Ruiz reported. "No known designs, no council codes, heavily armed." Nathan's eyes narrowed. "Put us on course." Cade leaned forward, tone sharp. "Sir, there's chatter. Some of these unknowns, they're human." Nathan froze. "Repeat that." "Human. Rogue elements. Possibly old Black Ops, private fleets, defectors. No official ties to Bastion." The revelation hit like a gut punch. Earth had enemies within now. Not just aliens, not just council loyalists, traitors, mercenaries, human predators who saw profit in the chaos. "Prep all systems," Nathan said grimly. "If they've turned against Earth, we deal with them like any other threat." "Aye, sir." In the black heart of the Velkar Expanse, the Revenant slipped through sensor shadows, running full stealth. Ahead, a flotilla of unknown ships loomed, sleek, angular, bristling with high-end weapons. And their transponders were clear now. Human signatures. "They're ex-military," Cade said. "Refitted council tech. Looks like some of the old Black Wing defectors." Nathan's jaw clenched. He knew the name well. Black Wing, Earth's most ruthless covert operatives during the early Cold Wars. Disavowed years ago after unsanctioned massacres. And now they were back, pirates in all but name, selling their guns to the highest bidder. "How many?" Nathan asked. 2 cruisers, 5 frigates, dozens of fighter drones. Nathan's gaze burned. "We take them. No survivors." Understood. The assault was brutal and precise. The Revenant's first strikes disabled command relays and AI cores, sowing confusion. But Blackwing veterans weren't amateurs. They fought hard, deploying advanced ECM, drone swarms, kinetic lances. The Revenant took hits, shields flaring, hull plating scarred. "They're good," Ruiz gritted out. So are we, Nathan said coldly. Finish them. In the thick of the battle, Nathan moved to the weapons deck himself, taking control of the primary railgun array. Target their lead cruiser, he ordered. His aim was deadly. The first salvo punched through weakened shielding, detonating the cruiser's main reactor. The blast tore a hole in the flotilla. The remaining Blackwing ships tried to flee, but Revenant drones hunted them down one by one. Within an hour, the traitor flotilla was reduced to wreckage. No escape pods were spared, no quarter given. On the bridge, the aftermath weighed heavy. Blackwing's return changes everything, Cade said quietly. Nathan nodded. Earth's enemies aren't just out there anymore. They're here. They're us. Ruiz looked grim. Bastion won't like this. Nathan's voice was cold as steel. They'll like it less if we let them live. He turned back to the stars. The war had widened again. It wasn't just survival now. It was cleansing. Of the Council, of the warlords, of the traitors. No matter how deep Earth had to go. The corridor to Bastion's high command felt colder than usual. Nathan's boots echoed on polished black alloy as he was escorted deeper into Earth's hidden fortress. After the Velkar operation, the Revenant had returned under encrypted orders. Urgent. No public channels. No standard debrief. The message had come straight from Director Kane himself. Now, deep below the Martian crust, Nathan was about to find out why. The final blast doors hissed open, revealing Bastion's inner war room. Director Kane stood alone at the command table. Silver-haired, sharp-eyed, a man whose reputation made generals sweat. He didn't look up as Nathan entered. Captain Grayson. Sir. Nathan stood at parade rest. At ease. Come here. Nathan approached. The holomap before Kane showed the latest intelligence feeds. Entire sectors of the galaxy now blinking red or gray. Vast swathes were in chaos. Others had gone dark. You've done well, Kane said without warmth. The Kastari purge, the Varnak strike, the traitors at Velkar. Nathan said nothing. He knew a but was coming. Kane tapped a sector far rimward, beyond any human colony or known council system. We have a new problem, Kane said. Unknown actors, not Varnak, not Blackwing. Something else. Origin? Nathan asked. We don't know. Kane's jaw tightened. All we know is that several deep-range scout vessels have vanished here. He tapped again. And 2 listening outposts stopped transmitting 3 days ago. Nathan frowned. What kind of signatures? None. That single word sent a chill down Nathan's spine. Even Blackwing ships left traces. Heat, radiation, comm bursts. But none? We believe something new has entered the power vacuum, Kane said. And until we know what, it's an unacceptable threat. You want us to investigate? I want you to hunt it, Kane corrected. His gaze was cold steel. You'll take Revenant and 2 additional black ships. Deep insertion, no contact with civilian channels, no record of your presence. Rules of engagement? Nathan asked. Kane's answer was absolute. Total annihilation. No survivors. Nathan's fists clenched behind his back. Understood. Kane finally looked him full in the eye. We didn't start this war, Captain. But if we hesitate now, if we show weakness, humanity won't survive the next century. Nathan nodded once. I won't hesitate. The Revenant launched within 6 hours, accompanied by the UNSV Phantom and UNSV Wraith, sister ships built for war in the shadows. In the cold of deep space, Nathan stood again at his bridge, watching the stars shift as they approached the designated sector. Comms blackout initiated, Ruiz confirmed. Fleet signatures masked. No traceable emissions. Good, Nathan said. We go in blind. Be ready for anything. His crew was sharper now, hardened. After Velkar, After the traitors, no one doubted what was at stake. They'd seen too much. The further rim was a graveyard. Derelict council ships drifted among shattered moons. Dead colonies flickered with emergency beacons no one had answered in weeks. And beyond them, void. A stretch of space even the old council had feared to chart. Entering target sector, Jenna reported quietly. Long-range scans, nothing. No drive signatures, no energy profiles. Maintain passive sweeps, Nathan ordered. Aye. For 2 days, the black ships prowled the sector, searching, waiting. And then the first anomaly appeared. Sir, Cade called sharply. We've got something. Distortion fields, space frame anomalies, no known profile. Nathan's blood ran colder. Location. Cade highlighted a cluster of signals, faint, irregular, but moving with intent. Intercept course, Nathan ordered. All ships, weapons hot, no comms. They found the first wreck on the edge of a dying system. A human scout ship, hull torn open from the inside. No burn marks, no weapons fire, just shattered. No survivors, Ruiz confirmed after the drone sweep. How was it breached? Nathan asked. Cade's voice was tight. We don't know. The hull's molecular structure was altered, like something ate through it. Nathan's gut twisted. This wasn't war, it was slaughter. Stay sharp, he ordered. Whatever did this is still out here. The Revenant led the formation deeper, following the distortion signals. Hours passed. Then the Wraith's captain, Commander Hale, sent an urgent burst. Contact. Unknown hostiles, moving fast. Nathan snapped orders. Bring us to intercept. Combat formation. All hands battle stations. The first enemy ship emerged from the dark like a living shadow. No hull seams, no drives, just a shape, sleek, organic, pulsing faintly with inner light. That's no council tech, Cade breathed. Fire, Nathan said flatly. Railguns screamed. Missiles lanced out. But as they struck the thing's surface, they vanished, dissolved, like matter itself couldn't touch it. What the hell? Ruiz started. Then the thing retaliated. A ripple of energy burst forth, silent, unseen, ripping through Wraith's shields as if they weren't there. The ship convulsed, systems dying in cascades. Wraith is hit! Massive systems failure! Jenner shouted. Cover them! Nathan barked. Phantom, flank pattern, target weak points. But there were no weak points. The thing moved with impossible agility, weaving through human fire. It's learning, Cade said grimly. It's adapting to our weapons. Nathan's mind raced. EMP payloads, full spread, now. The Revenant's launch bays fired a cloud of electromagnetic mines. Old tech, but raw, brutal. The enemy ship pulsed again, but this time, the EMP surge caused a flicker in its form. Hit it again! Nathan roared. Phantom followed through, hurling a second wave. The creature ship shuddered, losing cohesion. For the first time, human weapons worked. Concentrate fire, bring it down. Railguns hammered, missiles streaked. The thing writhed, and finally exploded in a soundless bloom of dark energy. Silence fell. Target destroyed, Ruiz reported shakily, but Nathan's gut told him it wasn't over. Status on Wraith? He asked. Severe damage, minimal life support. Commander Hale requesting evac. Nathan's fists clenched. He stared at the tactical feed. We're not alone, he said softly. That was a scout, a test. There's more. And in the dark, beyond their sensors, something watched. Aboard the Revenant, silence pressed heavy over the bridge as the wreckage of the unknown ship drifted in their wake. Nathan stood with fists clenched, eyes fixed on the shifting tactical map. The creature ship was gone, but the deeper space beyond it was wrong. Distortions spread through the void like ripples in black water, unnatural, chaotic. Report, he ordered quietly. Ruiz's voice was taut. Residual energy readings off all known scales. Sensors struggling to compensate. No new contacts, but the interference is growing. Cause? Cade grimaced. Unknown. It's like the space itself is destabilizing. Nathan's jaw tightened. Get Wraith survivors aboard. Then we push forward. Sir, Ruiz hesitated. Wraith's reactor is unstable. If we leave her adrift... No loose ends, Nathan cut in. Scuttle her once evac is complete. Aye. The evacuation was brutal. Phantom covered the operation as Revenant's shuttles raced across the void. Wraith's hull was torn and leaking radiation. Commander Hale, face pale but unbowed, limped onto Revenant's deck in the last shuttle. Nathan met him at the hatch. Hale. Grayson. Hale's voice was raw. Whatever that thing was, it wasn't built, it was grown. Nathan's eyes narrowed. Explain. Hale shook his head. My engineers cut open a fragment before we pulled out. It had cellular structure. Synthetic, maybe, but alive. Evolving. Nathan's stomach turned. How many did you see? Just one. But the interference? I'd bet my life there's a whole nest of them out there. Nathan nodded grimly. We're going in. Hale's battered face twisted in a grim smile. Knew you'd say that. Hours later, the Revenant led its diminished strike group deeper into the sector. The distortion fields grew stronger with every light minute. Navigation's barely holding, Jenner warned. Gravimetric flux is off the charts. Stay on vector, Nathan ordered. We're close. Then the anomaly appeared. Contact, Cade shouted. Multiple signatures, too large to be single ships. They're clustered. The holomap rendered the scene. A massive, web-like structure woven through a field of shattered planetoids. At its heart pulsed a colossal organic mass, part ship, part living entity. Mother of God, Ruiz whispered. That's a hive. Signal? Nathan asked. Nothing we can decode, Cade said grimly. But the patterns are rhythmic, like a heartbeat. Nathan's blood chilled. Weapons status? Fully charged. EMP rounds prepped. Nathan drew a slow breath. His next words were ice. We end it here. All ships. Full assault. No survivors. The Revenant surged forward, railguns and missile batteries blazing. Phantom flanked left, loosing EMP bursts to disrupt the Hive's defenses. But the Hive was awake now. Dozens of smaller forms detached from its surface, sleek, living fighter ships that screamed through space with impossible agility. Incoming! Ruiz shouted. All point defense active, Nathan snapped. The void became a storm of fire and motion. Revenant's gunners fought with cold precision, swatting down the swarming attackers. But for everyone destroyed, 3 more appeared. They're regenerating, Cade said through gritted teeth, feeding off the Hive. Target the core, Nathan ordered. Cut off the source. The Revenant dove through the chaos, weapons locking onto the Hive's pulsing heart. Fire, Nathan barked. Railgun salvos hammered the core. EMP charges followed, disrupting the creature's rhythm. The Hive convulsed, sending ripples through the distortion fields. For a moment, it weakened. We've got an opening, Ruiz shouted. Nathan didn't hesitate. All ships, concentrate fire, now. But the Hive struck back. A massive energy wave lashed out, catching Phantom amidships. Phantom hit! Shields failing! Jenner cried. Maintain formation, Nathan ordered. We finish this! The battle raged. Phantom reeled but held position, her gunners fighting with desperate fury. Revenant poured every shot into the weakening Hive core. Finally, rupture. The heart exploded in a cascade of dark energy. The Hive shuddered, its attackers faltering. Core destabilizing, Ruiz reported. Full withdrawal vector, Nathan ordered. Pull out now! The strike group fled the collapsing Hive, distortion fields flaring violently behind them. Status? Nathan demanded, as calm returned. Hive destroyed, Ruiz confirmed. Residual hostiles eliminated, phantom damaged but operational. Nathan exhaled slowly. Good work, but the victory felt hollow. Sir, Cade said quietly, if there was one hive, there could be others. Nathan nodded grimly. There will be, and next time we won't get lucky. He turned to Jenner. Prepare a secure burst for Bastion. They need to know. Aye, sir. Back on Earth, deep beneath Bastion, Director Kane read Nathan's report in cold silence. Biosynthetic entities, he muttered. Beyond Council knowledge. Beyond our knowledge. He stood slowly, gazing at the burning sectors on the galactic map. So it begins, he whispered. A hidden line opened. This is Kane. Initiate Project Iron Sky. We're going to war. The Revenant cruised through dead space. The stars here looked wrong, faint, twisted by lingering distortion fields. The wreckage of the hive they'd destroyed was long behind them, but none of the crew could shake the sense of something watching, something waiting. Nathan stood alone in the darkened observation bay. The message to Bastion had been sent. Kane's cryptic response, Initiate Project Iron Sky, offered no details. No further orders had followed. Nathan didn't like it, not one damn bit. Ruiz's voice broke the silence. Captain to the bridge. Priority signal. Nathan turned without a word and strode through the narrow corridors, the hum of the ship's systems a steady pulse under his boots. The bridge lights were dimmed, status screens running in low-power mode to reduce signature profile. Jenner and Cade were at their stations, faces drawn. Hale leaned against a bulkhead, arms folded, still recovering from the Wraith's loss. Report, Nathan said as he entered. Ruiz brought up the main screen. We've intercepted a burst transmission, heavily encrypted Council-era tech, but it's not from the Council. Nathan's brow furrowed. Source? Deep Rim, beyond even the Velkar sector. Cade added grimly, It's a beacon, automated, on repeat. He activated the audio feed. A thin, metallic voice filled the bridge. Protocol 0. Containment failure. Directive Iron Sky authorized. Repeat. Protocol 0. Containment failure. The message looped. That's Bastion-level clearance, Ruiz said quietly. And Iron Sky's not a new project, Hale added. His voice was dark. It's an old one, buried after the first contact wars. Nathan's gut twisted. You know it. Hale nodded grimly. Rumors only. Something the Council and early Earth Black Ops tried to bury. Something about an older threat. Not alien. Not human. Worse. Coordinates, Nathan ordered. Loaded, Jenner confirmed. Nathan's eyes were cold. We follow it. Full combat readiness. Aye, sir. The Revenant jumped again, deeper into space uncharted by any standard map. The stars thinned here, veiled by strange gravitational anomalies. Entering dead zone, Ruiz reported. No known traffic, no patrol history, no comm traffic. Keep scanning. Hours passed. Then Jenner stiffened. Contact. Dead ahead. Object. Massive. On screen, the shape emerged. A station, ancient and colossal, drifting in black space. The structure looked wrong. Angles that defied perspective. Hull plating fused with organic growth. That's no Council station, Cade said, voice low. ID? Nathan asked. Tag matches an old Earth registry, Jenner said. Designation? Black Site 0. Even Hale swore under his breath. That was supposed to be a myth, he said. The first Joint Human Council deep research site. Shut down after something went wrong. And now it's broadcasting, Nathan said. His gaze was ice. Prep boarding teams. We're going in. Sir, Ruiz hesitated. Recommend drone recon first. That place feels wrong. Nathan nodded. Agreed, Deploy recon. A swarm of Revenant's stealth drones slipped into the station's perimeter. Inside, they found corridors choked with debris and strange growths, fleshy tendrils fused with steel, flickering lights casting unnatural shadows. No life signs, Cade reported. No standard power, but something's active. Low-frequency pulses, like a heartbeat. Nathan's jaw clenched. That matches what we saw with the hive. Worse, Hale said quietly. This looks like the source. With the drones feeding live data, Nathan led the first boarding team himself. Ruiz, Hale, and 6 of Revenant's best Marines. The dropship glided into the station's main hangar, a vast skeletal space lined with dead shuttles and blackened wreckage. Stay tight, Nathan ordered. No comm chatter beyond secure band. Weapons raised, the team advanced into the bowels of the derelict. They passed through ancient labs, shattered containment fields, strange biochambers still pulsing faintly with sickly green light. These were human labs, Hale said, voice grim. Early gene tech, black programs. Trying to control the hive entities? Nathan asked, or make their own. The deeper they went, the more the growths thickened, walls pulsing, floors slick with organic residue. Whatever they made here, Ruiz said quietly, it got loose. Finally, they reached the central core, an immense chamber where the pulse was strongest. At its heart hung a massive biomechanical pod, suspended in a web of cables and tendrils. Within it, a dark shape stirred, something alive. Scan it, Nathan ordered. Cade's voice crackled over the link. Captain, we've seen this pattern before. It matches the hive, but it's older, more complex. And the pulse? It's transmitting across subspace. Nathan's blood ran cold. It's calling others. Sir, Ruiz cut in. Motion. Multiple signatures inbound. Fall back, now. As the team retreated, shadowy forms emerged from the station's depths, sleek, semi-organic creatures that moved with terrifying speed. Engage, Nathan ordered. Railguns and plasma fire lit the corridors. The creatures were fast, but vulnerable to concentrated bursts. Move! We hold them here! The team fought a brutal retreat, laying down suppressive fire as they withdrew toward the dropship. Casualty report? Nathan barked. 1 down, 2 wounded, Ruiz reported, breath ragged. We're not losing anyone else, Nathan snarled. Get aboard! The dropship roared free of the station, chased by a swarm of the creatures. Revenant's guns met them with a wall of fire, shredding the attackers. Boarding teams aboard, sealing hatches, Jenner reported. Nathan stormed onto the bridge. Helm, full burn, get us out of here. Aye, sir. As they cleared the station's perimeter, new signals lit the tactical map. Multiple jump signatures, Ruiz shouted. Unknown ships, dozens. On screen, a fleet of hive vessels emerged from the black, larger, faster, deadlier than anything they'd faced before. They were waiting, Cade said grimly. Nathan's eyes burned. Ready all weapons, we break through. The battle was a blur of motion and fire. Revenant and Phantom fought like cornered wolves, cutting a path through the swarming enemy. Shields critical, Ruiz called. Keep firing, Nathan barked. The creatures pressed hard, but Revenant's gunners held the line, railguns punching through hulls, missiles blasting enemy packs apart. Jump vector plotted, Jenner shouted. Execute! The Revenant surged into FTL, leaving the swarm behind. But the damage was done. Status? Nathan asked as the stars blurred. Hull integrity down 30%, shields minimal, ammo reserves low, Phantom is worse. Nathan exhaled slowly. We need to warn Bastion. The hive isn't just spreading, it's coordinated. And it knows we're coming, Hale added grimly. Back on Earth, Director Kane watched Revenant's emergency burst with a stony face. "Project Iron Sky has failed," he said quietly. He turned to his aide. "Initiate full mobilization. Recall all Black fleets. Earth stands alone now." "Yes, sir." Kane's gaze hardened. "And prepare Phase 2. If we burn the stars to survive, so be it." The Revenant limped out of FTL space, battered and scarred. Its hull bore the wounds of the swarm's ambush, deep gashes in the armor, blackened scorch marks where energy had bled through the shields. Nathan stood on the bridge, jaw tight, eyes burning with exhaustion and purpose. Around him, his crew moved like ghosts, drained, bloodied, but unbroken. "We have to assume they know where Earth is now," Hale said grimly. "I'd bet they've known for some time," Nathan replied. "The old Black sites were linked to Earth. If the swarm cracked their networks, then Earth's already a target." Ruiz broke in. "Incoming transmission. Bastion Command, Priority 1. "On screen." Director Kane's face filled the display, colder than ever. "Captain Grayson, your report confirms our worst projections." "Sir, the swarm is coordinated, intelligent, and it's coming. We saw dozens of ships. That was likely a vanguard." "We know," Kane said. "Deep Scouts report multiple jump signatures converging on Sol. We estimate a full swarm assault within 72 hours. Nathan's gut twisted. Earth itself was now the battlefield. "Orders?" Nathan asked. Kane's voice was iron. "You will return immediately. Revenant and Phantom are to spearhead Iron Sky Phase 2, Operation Black Flame." Nathan frowned. "We don't know Black Flame, sir." "You will. All classified files will be unlocked upon arrival, and Captain ... Kane leaned closer. "This is extinction level. No half measures, no quarter. We win or humanity dies." The feed cut. Nathan stared at the blank screen for a moment, then turned to his crew. "You heard him. Plot jump to Sol. Full combat readiness. We make our stand now." "Aye, sir," came the grim chorus. 2 days later, Earth's orbit was a storm of warships. Human fleets, everything left of Earth's military power, were rallying around the planet. Dreadnoughts, cruisers, black ships like the Revenant, all bristling with weapons, shields at full charge. Bastion loomed over Mars, now the nerve center of Earth's last defense. As the Revenant docked, Nathan and his senior officers were rushed into Bastion's war chamber, deep underground, shielded from orbital fire. Director Kane stood waiting, flanked by grim-faced generals. "You all know the stakes," Kane began. "We have 36 hours before swarm forces arrive. This is our last stand." He activated a holomap of the system. Thousands of red markers blinked at its edge, incoming swarm signatures. "Phase 2, Black Flame," Kane continued, "an ancient failsafe, developed during the First Contact Wars, when the Council first glimpsed the swarm." He tapped a new file, encrypted layers peeling back. "A weapon, not a clean one, a quantum phase cascade, designed to burn subspace itself across a target zone." Nathan's eyes narrowed. "You mean tear open space?" "Yes," Kane said flatly. "It will destroy the swarm, but it will also damage local space permanently. No travel, no colony expansion, no FTL near Sol, for centuries." Ruiz's voice was tight. "A scorched Earth tactic." "Scorched sky," Kane corrected. "But if we fail, there won't be a sky left to burn." The plan was brutal. Revenant and Phantom would spearhead a deep strike into the swarm formation, planting cascade cores within the central fleet mass. The cores would detonate in sequence, triggering the phase collapse. It was suicide odds. But Nathan didn't flinch. "We'll do it," he said coldly. Kane nodded. "You're humanity's blade now, Captain. Strike deep, strike hard, no mercy." Hours later, Nathan stood on Revenant's bridge once more, watching Earth's blue curve below. "Crew status?" he asked. All stations manned, Ruiz reported. Weapons hot, Cascade cores secured. Good. Nathan looked at them all, weary, hardened faces. Veterans of a war none of them had asked for. You know what we're facing, he said quietly. You know the odds. Doesn't matter, Hale said, voice rough. We finish this. A grim nod passed through the bridge. Then let's go, Nathan said. For Earth. For Earth. The Revenant and Phantom surged into space, flanked by strike wings. The swarm was already visible on long-range scans, a black tide rolling toward Sol. Thousands of vessels, millions of life forms. Jump vector plotted, Jenner called. Execute, Nathan ordered. Inside the swarm, FTL dropped them straight into hell. The swarm massed ahead like a living storm, vast hive ships surrounded by endless waves of smaller creatures. The stars barely showed through. We go in fast, Nathan said. No formation. Each ship targets a core point. Plant the payload. Escape vector on my mark. Aye, sir. Revenant punched through the first wave, railguns tearing apart enemy flyers. Swarms of bioships closed in, but Phantom's EMP blasts scattered them. Point Alpha reached, Ruiz called. Deploy core, Nathan barked. The first Cascade core launched, a sleek black device sinking into the swarm's mass. Core 1 primed, Cade confirmed. On Phantom Core 2 away, came the grim report. The fight was beyond brutal. Revenant's shields flared under constant impacts. Hull breaches opened and sealed. Gunners fired until their barrels overheated. Core 3 deployed, Ruiz shouted. Hold steady, Nathan roared. We're almost through. Then it happened. A massive hive ship surged forward, the largest they'd seen yet. Its hull rippled with energy, weapons lashing out in blinding arcs. It's targeting Phantom, Hale shouted. Cover them, Nathan ordered. Revenant banked hard, railguns blazing, but the hive ship's energy blast speared through space, slamming into Phantom's core. Direct hit, Ruiz cried. On screen, Phantom reeled, hull splitting, fires erupting. They're going down, Jenner said, voice raw. Damn it, Nathan hissed. Get those cores detonated now! With the last of their strength, Phantom transmitted a final burst. Core 2 primed. Then the ship was lost, consumed in the swarm's dark maw. All cores active, Cade confirmed. Detonation sequence initiated, Ruiz added. 60 seconds. Nathan's gaze burned. All ships! Emergency escape vector, now! The Revenant blasted clear, engines flaring past redline. Behind them, the swarm closed in, sensing the trap too late. Detonation in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The universe screamed. The Cascade cores ignited, tearing through subspace in a chain reaction. Space itself convulsed, stars warping, gravity wells collapsing. The swarm was caught in the blast. Ships shredded, creatures vaporized as reality unraveled around them. On Revenant's bridge, the crew watched in stunned silence as the swarm burned, a storm of light consuming the black tide. We did it, Ruiz whispered. Not yet, Nathan said coldly. Plot jump. We ride the shockwave out. The Revenant barely escaped as the Cascade consumed the sector. Behind them, Sul space rippled and froze, an impassable void where no ship could travel again. But Earth was safe. 2 weeks later. In Bastion's dark chamber, Nathan stood before Director Kane once more. The swarm is broken, Kane said. The stars around Sol will never recover. But humanity lives. Nathan said nothing. Too many dead, too many losses, but survival mattered. You've done more than was asked, Captain, Kane continued. There's a place for you here, commanding the new fleets. Nathan shook his head. I'm not done out there. The swarm? Pieces will remain, fragments, and there will be others. Someone has to hunt them. Kane studied him for a long moment, then nodded. Very well. Revenant will remain yours. Earth owes you that much." Nathan saluted, then turned and left. Later, aboard the Revenant, Nathan stood once more at the observation bay, staring at the stars beyond. Ruiz approached quietly. "We could stand down, rest. No one would blame us." Nathan shook his head. "We rest when the threat is gone. Not before." "Where to?" Nathan's gaze was hard as steel. "Where the enemy runs, where the darkness breeds, wherever they hide, we hunt." And as the Revenant's engines lit the void once more, one truth remained. Humanity would not kneel. Not now. Not ever.